Alright, in this lesson we're going to learn how to draw Africa and the Middle East. First, we want to make sure that we have a lot of room east to west to work. So make sure that you turn your board so the longer side is facing you. And we're going to begin our Africa down here in this bottom left-hand corner, or the southwest corner of our map. Okay, so we'll start our Africa by drawing two shapes, or really three shapes that we can trace around. The first two shapes we're going to draw are two circles that are about the same size. So let's draw them here in the southwest part. So 1, 2, just like that. And then beneath our eastern circle we're going to draw a triangle. And that gives us something close to the shape of Africa, something that we can trace around. So I'm going to now take my marker and go around Africa this way. So now the north coast is next to the Mediterranean Sea. And there's this part of Africa which is near the Red Sea. And it comes up, this is the Horn of Africa here. And we trace around and down, and Africa on the bottom is kind of rounded, so don't make it as sharp as that triangle is. And when we come up and connect our lines, we can now take the eraser and get rid of those guidelines that we made at first. So let's erase them just like that. Okay, now we have something close to the shape of Africa. Let's not forget to draw in Madagascar as well. So Madagascar is the island to the southeast of Africa, and it's just a long oval, just like that. And there we have the rough shape of Africa. Let's take our eraser again, and we are going to draw in the land bridge that connects Africa to the continent Asia. This is the Middle East, the part of the map that we'll be drawing next. So I've erased part of my line up in the northeast part. Going to continue the line over a little bit that way. And then there's just this narrow little skinny isthmus that connects Africa to Asia. And the first part that it's going to connect to is called the Arabian Peninsula. Let's go ahead and let's draw the Arabian Peninsula now. So the Arabian Peninsula is this funny little peninsula that reminds me of a boot shape, like a boot with really short toes. So I'll start by tracing down, and I'm staying pretty close to the coast of Africa here, close to the Horn of Africa. And I come out further east, then up, and then right away I'll come back to the west and further north. And there it is, there's my Arabian Peninsula. Right, and the Red Sea is the body of water that's right here. It's this area. I'll write an R for Red Sea. Maybe I'll type it out. Okay, so that's the Red Sea. And while we're at it, let's add the Mediterranean Sea. So where is the Mediterranean Sea on our map? Mediterranean Sea. So it's not right there, right? It's over on the north coast of Africa, just like that. There's our Mediterranean Sea. And here, let me draw a line too to show you that the Red Sea is not really out here. It's more like right in this place, right in between the Arabian Peninsula and the Horn of Africa and Africa's east coast. But what is this body of water that's right here on the map? What is this one? This is an ocean. And we have the Atlantic Ocean over on this side, right here. So on this side, this will have to be the Indian Ocean. Let's write this one in. Okay, the Indian Ocean is right there. And it's called the Indian Ocean because it's next to the country India and the islands here, which are called the Indies. Okay, so let's draw in India now. Before we get to India, there's some land that curves to the southeast. So I'll take my marker and I'll draw a line going to the southeast. And over here we have the modern day countries Iran and Pakistan, closer over here. India is this triangle shape that comes down into the Indian Ocean. And it comes up about right there. So this is our country India. And like Africa, India also has an island on its southeast coast, and that's called Sri Lanka. It's a lot smaller than Madagascar, though. Just a tiny little circle like that, like an icicle that's melting. Okay, so let me type that in too. So we have Sri Lanka right here. And I'll add in the label for India. And why not? Let's also add in Pakistan. Alright, good. So the rest of Asia will kind of continue over this way to the east. But we're not going to draw in that part for right now. Instead, we're going to draw the rest of Asia that's near the Mediterranean Sea. So I'm going to start over here on this side of my map now. And right above the Arabian Peninsula, I'm going to draw in Israel. So I'll start right here where I left off with Africa. Right above the Arabian Peninsula, I'll draw a line coming north. And this is where Israel is. Then coming straight off of Israel, we have a peninsula that goes straight to the east. It kind of comes up like that. And this is the modern day country of Turkey. Alright, so now we're going to add in two seas to our map. And speaking of seas, I think the Mediterranean Sea will get in our way, so I'm going to erase this label for now. But we can just remember that it's there. Okay, and the first sea that I'm going to add is the Black Sea. The Black Sea is directly north of Turkey. So the Black Sea will be right here. I'm going to draw the coastline that goes north of Turkey and comes down to form the Black Sea. So it goes up and around like this. It comes down almost touching the top of the peninsula, but it stops just before reaching it. There's actually a strait that flows from the Black Sea into the Mediterranean Sea. So we'll leave that slightly open so that we can show that the strait is there. And this strait is called the Strait of Bosporus. The Strait of Bosporus. Alright, so next I'm going to draw part of the coast that goes straight west all the way over to Greece. And Greece is really a tiny little place. It's a tiny peninsula. So I'm going to add it right here. And it kind of has two parts. One part is called the Peloponnesian Peninsula, and it's connected by a tiny isthmus. So there it is. And then up, like that. Okay, and the island south of Greece is called Crete. It's a skinny little island like that. There's Crete. Okay, and let me go ahead now and add one more sea. And this one will be completely surrounded by land. This is going to be called the Caspian Sea. And the Caspian Sea begins just over the toes, I guess you could say, of the Arabian Peninsula boot. So it's going to start around right here. And this will be important for drawing the border of Europe and Asia. So we'll just draw an oval that kind of goes up like this, just like that. That's the Caspian Sea. Alright, let's label the seas that we just added. So we put in the Caspian Sea just now. Okay, and here's that one. Then we added the Black Sea. And here's the Black Sea. So it's right beneath the label there. And we actually have another sea too. The sea that's between Greece, right here, that's north of Crete, and that's west of Turkey, is a sea called the Aegean Sea. Let's add in that one too. Okay, and let's add just some arrows to show where they are. This one's the Aegean Sea, the Black Sea, and the Caspian Sea right there. And let's go ahead and add in our friend the Mediterranean Sea, because I want to show you something that I think is pretty cool. There's a way that you can remember these 5 seas. If you read across, starting from the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea, and then from the Aegean Sea, Black Sea, and Caspian Sea, there's a pattern here, and it says Mr. ABC. Mr. ABC. So M for the Mediterranean Sea, then R for the Red Sea, A is for the Aegean Sea, B is for the Black Sea, and C is for the Caspian Sea. Okay, so we covered a lot in this video already, and I think we'll leave it there for now. In other videos we'll draw the rest of Europe, and the rest of Europe is just going to continue on from where Greece left off, and it will come down over this way right here. And it will blend right into Asia. And by the way, have you ever looked at a globe or a map of the world and wondered, how can they possibly consider Asia and Europe 2 different continents when they're joined side by side? I mean, Africa kind of makes sense as its own continent, because it's only connected to Asia by this tiny little piece of land. But take a look at the border between Asia and Europe, and it starts right here where the Black Sea is, and it comes over to where the Caspian Sea is, and then it goes from the Caspian Sea directly north to the north coast. Now that's a large border. Sorry, actually this part's a little bit further down. So that's still a large border between Asia over on this side and Europe over here. And to be honest, the reason that they're 2 separate continents doesn't make much sense from the point of view of geography. And some geographers have even gone so far as to combine them together and call them by the name Eurasia. As if they were squished together in one large continent rather than 2 ones. But those who would argue that Europe and Asia should be considered two separate continents might point out that Europe has a very different culture than Asia does, that Europe has been called Europe for a very long time, Asia has been called Asia for a very long time, and people have an identity as being either European or being Asian, that those names are meaningful to people. It's meaningful for somebody to say, I'm Asian or I'm European, and that means something different to them. Sometimes in geography we draw borders on maps based on physical features like rivers or mountain ranges or lakes or oceans. But sometimes the borders are drawn based on ideas, based on culture, and those will always be harder borders to draw because it's never quite clear where one culture begins and another culture ends. Now that's all the time we have in this video. In the next video we'll add the western part of Europe. See you then.